We're just going to play tunes until they tell us to stop.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to say a big thank you to the band that you've just enjoyed watching this morning. They jumped in at the last minute to help us out when the Supertonics couldn't join us, so I'd just like to go through and introduce them to you. On piano, local legend, Mr. Daryl Aberhard, ladies and gentlemen. On drums, Sophie Hawthorne. Well done, Sophie. Former HSPA student Georgia Dully on vocals and HSPA student Ben Rowney on saxophone. Give them a round of applause. And Brandon Yarnell joining us on bass today. Thank you so much, guys. What a wonderful way to start the morning. Lovely to see a combination of staff and students here from the Conservatorium. Good morning to everyone who is joining us here at the University of Newcastle Conservatorium of Music, as well as those people who are tuning into our live stream from around the state. My name is Damien Clift and I live on Wanneroo country out Maitland Way, and I teach at Lambton High School on Awabakal country under the guiding spirit of Birrabban. I would like to acknowledge the Awabakal people, the people of the Pambalong clan, the Warramai people to the north, the Wanneroo people to the west, and the Darkinjung and Ku-ring-gai people to the south. We respect their histories and connections with this country. I would like to thank the Awabakal and the Warramai people for allowing us to come together here today to safely learn, reside on and travel through their country. I would like to acknowledge that the Aboriginal people were the first creators, the first artists, the first storytellers and the first musicians on this country. Like many people, I've been lucky enough to travel around this country. Whenever I'm hiking somewhere and I look down at the ground and I think, oh man, look at the damage we've done, look at the ground, look at the path through here. And I always have to stop and remind myself that tourists didn't create that path. That path has been there for thousands of years because this land is millennia old. I am grateful to be able to share and experience this amazing country. I would like to pay my respect to elders past, present and future, and any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people here today or joining us on the live stream. I'm very grateful to be back up on this stage today as a former alumni of the Newcastle Conservatorium of Music and a presenter at a previous HSC study day. I'm sure you guys are going to get a lot out of today because it's a very fast process we have now as we get towards the pointy end of the HSC Music 1, 2 and Extension courses. Can I please remind you that this event is being live streamed and will be hosted online for some time for viewing in the future. Being that this is the case, can I please remind you to be on your best behaviour? The last thing we want is to have to take down a video, this wonderful video resource, because someone calls out or says something inappropriate, so please keep that in mind. We want the day to be light and enjoyable, but also respectful. A lot of work has gone into producing this day for you guys. So, students around New South Wales, like I said, are tuning in right now to watch this, either now or over the next couple of weeks, and the last thing we want for them is to think, oh man, did you see that circus up in Newcastle? All right, we're going to show them what Newcastle is like and be on our best behaviour. Thank you very much. Now, speaking of respect, let's just take a moment to acknowledge and thank your teachers for their efforts, not only to give you the opportunity to be here today, but also for everything they do to support you each and every day with extra rehearsals, the feedback, the support, the encouragement. So right now, the people here, or if you're live streaming, give your teachers a round of applause, please. Great, thank you. Let's keep that respect going. As I call out, I'm going to do a bit of a roll call to see who we've got with us in the room today, as well as I'll acknowledge the people who are live streaming. When I call out your school name, just give us a little light cheer so we can see where you are. Have I got Belmont Christian College? Great. Belmont High School? Hunter River High School? No? Okay, Hunter School of the Performing Arts? Very good. Irrawang? Excellent. Katara High School? Thank you, Mr. Foy. Lambton High School. My peeps. Macquarie College. Maitland Christian School. Maitland Grossman. Maitland High School. Great. Thank you, Mr. Long. Dowie Christian School. Merriweather High School. Newcastle High School. St. Bede's Catholic College. Nope. St. Paul's Catholic College, Burrigal. No. St. Philip's Christian College, Cessnock. Thank you very much. St. Philip's Christian College, Waratah. Excellent, thank you. Swansea High School. Warners Bay High School. And West Wallsend High School. Fantastic. Now, I'd also like to acknowledge any of the schools that are joining us around the state who are joining our live stream. The ones that I've got that I know are joining us today: Newcastle Grammar School, St Joseph's College at Lochinvar, Narromine High School, Bowral High School, Midcoast Christian College, Bishop Druitt College, All Saints Grammar, Dungog High School, Rutherford Technology High School, Leeton High School, my goodness, way down south, Richmond Christian College, Lithgow High School, and Pitt Waterhouse. Give them all a round of applause to welcome them here today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. We are absolutely stoked to have each and every one of you here today, or in the future if you are watching the recording as well. Well, today is all about music. We got a wonderful performance this morning. We're about to watch another performance. So I'd like to introduce you to Tobi Eeles, who completed her HSC last year, 2004. She came equal first in the state for Music 1 and also received an Encore nomination for her HSC performances. Tobi has been playing the clarinet for more than 11 years and says that music was the subject that kept her sane during what can be an otherwise overwhelming year. Today, Tobi is going to perform the piece Sister Sadie, written by Horace Silver, and I'd like to welcome her to the stage now. Give it up, former Merewether High School student Tobi Eeles, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, thank you very much, Tobi. Eeles, you are going to hear more insight into Tobi's process in just a few moments with one of our next presenters. But right now, I'd like to invite Dr. Susan Carson to the stage. Dr. Carson was appointed the University of Newcastle Conservatorium Coordinator in January 2024 and was awarded a PhD for music in April 2024. Sue's scholarly work draws heavily on her lengthy and extensive career in music performance in a variety of genres. She is classically trained in voice and violin and continues this classical performance in tandem with a contemporary music career. In fact, I once saw Sue stand over there on this very stage and sing the Queen of the Night aria from the Marriage of Figaro, the Magic Flute, Mozart's Magic Flute. You know that really high one with the... Yeah, I watched Sue sing that. But then, like months later, I was in Tamworth and I saw Sue standing on the back of a truck playing mandolin and singing with a bluegrass band. And then if you go around any of the venues here on the weekend, you might see Sue playing electric guitar or singing with a rock and pop band. She is just that versatile. It's wonderful to know that someone with that level of experience, diversity and passion for music is the coordinator here at the Newcastle Conservatorium of Music. Can you please welcome Dr. Susan Carson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clift. Welcome, everyone. A very warm welcome to you all on this HSC Music Day 2025. We're so thrilled to host this day for the second year running since before COVID. So we had the HSC Day many times before COVID. This is not only an important day of workshops to support you in your upcoming HSC music exams, but the opportunity to come together as a community united in the love of music and appreciation of the opportunities that music brings to our lives. This is my second year as the Conservatorium Coordinator, alongside which I continue to regularly perform and teach. I'm constantly overwhelmed by the talent and passion that students have for their music making, and I don't think this will ever change. All of you here today are proof of how rewarding music can be and why we as a community have a responsibility to literally sing music's praises. More proof of this are our community programs that are thriving with over 800 students enrolled in one-to-one lessons, ensembles and school program activities. Our wonderful tutors are taking their expertise into a number of local schools to provide tuition in concert band, choirs, individual lessons, and likewise, many students are continuing to have lessons here at the Con on their instruments, in community music ensembles, such as our choirs, including wellbeing choirs, string groups, arts orchestra, early childhood music classes, and a number of contemporary ensembles, such as the jazz orchestra, the community blues band, and the homeschool and fusion ensembles. We continue to offer scholarships based on merit, but also our equity scholarships for students experiencing financial hardship. And we provide resources for schools that may not otherwise be able to support music programs. We have also in this beautiful hall a full calendar of events this year, which range from student and staff showcases to orchestral concerts, album launches, variety concerts, comedy festivals, and professional development opportunities for our staff and students, as well as other festivals. And this year we've established a really exciting partnership with Ensemble Offspring from Sydney. They've been going for 30 years and they're a very experienced contemporary art ensemble, or art music ensemble, classical art music. They've been doing workshops and concerts throughout the year with our community and tertiary students. So that's been an amazing opportunity for our students to gain that experience from such accomplished and experienced musicians. We're also launching the inaugural Jacob Neal Jazz Awards in July, which will give upcoming young musicians who specialise in jazz piano the opportunity to win significant prize money to help launch their career. The awards night is on the 19th of July. We'd love to see you here to celebrate the finalists that have managed to become finalists in the awards. Entries are now open and they close on the 1st of June. So if you know any budding jazz pianists, please let them know. The Bachelor of Music and Performing Arts degree is our tertiary program. It now offers one-to-one lessons for students enrolled in the performance courses of the program. We have amazing tutors for the students, many of whom have enjoyed careers on national and international stages. The degree is great for musicians who enjoy collaboration, learning with and from your peers, establishing networks, gaining industry knowledge and immersing themselves in musical projects in a variety of musical subject areas such as performance, production, theatrical forms and recording. And many of our graduates go on to have portfolio-style careers where they may work in several areas including live performance, songwriting, production, studio recording, private studio teaching, high school music teaching and music research. If you would like any more information about our tertiary program, please feel free to chat to myself or other tertiary staff while they're about today, or check out the uni website and simply by searching Bachelor of Music and Performing Arts. The HSC is a significant milestone in your musical journey. I know you'll really enjoy the presentations and the performances today. Special thanks to your teachers for bringing you here and being a source of inspiration, which I'm sure they are to you. Through collaboration and creativity, being a musician is one of the best ways to build community and well-being. And we're fortunate in this region to have a thriving live music industry, amazing talent, as well as the will to succeed. You are our music future, so seize every opportunity to learn today and always, and stay true to why you continue to have music in your lives. Very best wishes for your upcoming exams, and thank you for being here today. Have fun.
Thank you, Dr. Carson, for having us today, and to the University of Newcastle for all of their support. Okay, we've seen some music. The other part of this day is the study part. So I'd just like to take you through a couple of things. The very first thing I'd like to mention, hopefully everyone got a copy of this student resource booklet that was in the front foyer. If you are joining us via live stream, then your teachers will have access to all of these materials as well. This booklet is chock-a-block full of solid gold study notes. I can't stress that enough. When I got my copy the other day, I was flicking through going, oh, this is incredible, so good. All right, so this will not only be a great reference for when you're studying leading up to trials or the real deal later in term 3 or in term 4 for the written exam, but there are a ton of very inspirational ideas and scaffolds in here for helping you to level up what you're already working on. You can write all over this booklet. In fact, I've already made lots of notes for my comparing today, so it is very easy to write on a plain white paper. Grab out your pens, your pencils, your highlighters. We have got a run sheet at the front there. That's the part that I've written all over. The next page has an index page. So if you're trying to find a presentation that you are sitting in front of so that you can make some further notes, look there. All of the pages are numbered. Use any of the free space that you can find in this booklet, okay? So with our first presenter, you'll see there's some space there next to the slides so you can make your own notes. If you hear something and you're like, I need to write that down, that's a really good extra point. So absolutely highlight anything you need in that page. So grab your pens and pencils out now if you need to, folks. Before I introduce our first presenter, I just want to remind you that you guys have all paid good money to be here or to watch this live stream. There will be moments during today where it is going to require all of your self-control to remain focused as one person stands up on here for a sizable period of time, okay? But I'll let you in on a little secret. If you are planning on going to university or TAFE or following any kind of extra education as you become a young adult, get ready, because the skill of sitting through lectures and remaining 100% engaged for 2 or more hours, I know I've sat in this room for a 2-hour lecture, is crucial for further education, all right? Start practicing that skill now and make the most of it. We don't want anyone to walk out of here at the end of today thinking, I didn't get anything out of that, all right? Really tune in, listen to what the people are saying, make your notes, go keep an eye on this study booklet so that even if you, at the end of today, you're pretty worn out, you can go back to your notes and you can see what it was that you thought was really, really good information that you're getting today. Right now, speaking of success, I'm absolutely thrilled to introduce you to a very good friend of mine, someone I have worked with for well over a decade through our involvement in Starstruck, an outstanding, enthusiastic, passionate music educator with more than 20 years of teaching and marking experience, Ms. Sarah Patterson. Sarah is also an alumni of the University of Newcastle Conservatorium of Music and has a rich musical background, having played clarinet in various ensembles. I actually just heard her standing at the back, just thoroughly loving Tobi's performance. It was wonderful. Sarah has run multiple music camps, conducted choirs for both Southern Stars and Starstruck. In fact, about 10 years ago, when Sarah and I first worked on Starstruck together, she was a choir conductor, and I gave her the nickname Aerobiductor because watching her conduct the 400-piece Starstruck choir was like watching an aerobics instructor. She was just that engaging and enthusiastic. Her energy is next level. At Lake Munmora High School, Sarah made a significant impact by successfully implementing the Reconnect Room, a project that has earned her a Secretary Commendation Award for Outstanding School Initiatives. Currently, she serves as the Head Teacher Advisory for Big Picture Learning, where she is leading this innovative program in 2025. It just goes to show how deeply committed Sarah is to helping all students achieve their full potential through her unwavering passion for teaching, and particularly in music. And so here she is now, folks, to share her wisdom and give you some ideas and skills to maximise your own potential and outcomes in the HSC music exam. Please, a big round of applause for Sarah Patterson, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for that introduction, Damien, and welcome everybody to the HSC Maximising Outcomes presentation today. Before we begin, I would just like to publicly acknowledge Mr. John Gill and all of his incredible experience, time in helping me prepare for this presentation today. So, how to maximise your HSC outcomes? First thing that I think is the most important thing to think about is familiarise yourself with your actual music syllabus of what course you are doing. There is the Music 1 course, there is the Music 2 course and extension. So ensure that you are knowing what it is included and what those particular requirements are for those courses. They are different for each and every single course. So as you can see, by familiarising yourself also not only with the syllabus, also those marking guidelines will be different. So unpacking those marking guidelines with your school teacher, looking into them online and discussing in further detail how you can best support yourself in achieving the best outcome. So HSC Music 1 and Music 2 both have external and internal assessment tasks that you will be completing. These are for written musicology and also for oral, and they can be around 35 to 40% of your actual mark. So it's quite important to know that that is quite a significant amount that is going towards your HSC results. Other things are your practical examination, and later on we'll be having a wonderful practical workshop. We will be able to unpack the marking guidelines a little bit further for you as well. Additionally, your practical examination and individual projects such as your composition also get marked externally. They get sent away, so you need to be prepared and know the timelines for them. That will be further unpacked today in also our composition workshop. Internally, at school, you will be completing assessment tasks. So externally, you have to do them, and internally throughout your Year 11 and 12 course. So it's really important to understand what those assessment tasks are. If you want to maximise your outcomes, you need to know what you're doing. So ensure that your teacher is working with you to unpack them further each and every single lesson. If you are unsure, they are a great source to have. For Music 1 and Music 2, your practical performances of either solo or ensembles, they include also a core performance. So every person within the state actually has to do a performance. It is a practical subject, I always say to my students, even if you're doing viva voce or composition, you still need to do that core performance. Also, individual projects of your composition and your viva voce, you still do them internally within school. Even if you are just going to do 4 HSC pieces for the HSC exam, you still need to complete them internally at school. It builds upon, I'm going to talk later, your skills, your oral skills, your composition skills, your viva voce skills, all of them combined together in a great big bucket helps even support your performances. And we'll unpack them a little bit further. HSC Music Extension, a different course, I know, but they've got written examinations externally to do. You've also got the practical examinations. So it's really important that you unpack them and know what is going to be entailed upon that. So, moving on, I think that it's really important to know also your elective options within your courses. You need to understand the specific benchmarks that are going to be used. And a lot of time and effort go into the making of these benchmarks. You're probably thinking, what do I mean by a benchmark? A benchmark is where we see you sitting for either a band 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. Band 6 is obviously the top band you can receive in your HSC. So unpacking those criteria, understanding what actually is required is really important. All electives, though, ensure that they weigh 20%. So make sure you're not thinking, oh, I'm only doing performance and that's, my 20%, but my composition, oh yeah. Everything within your HSC is equally weighted for that 20% of those electives, so ensure that you're giving them 110% for each of them. Oral and sight singing. Some people like it, some people don't like it, but it can be a very big contributing factor to your HSC. This time last year when I presented the oral workshop, I mentioned that how important that 30% of oral can move you from a band. You might be sitting at the end of your 4 HSC performance pieces in a band 5, top band 5, and you come in and do that amazing at your oral exam and it can bump you to a low band 6. So I can't stress how important it is to understand that oral and sight singing for Music 2 Extension is really important component to be aware of as well. Topics in your HSC. So many people talk about this and think, well, I really like this particular music and I think I could do really well. The old school way used to be you need to do a program. It is not like that in any way, shape or form anymore. We want to see the best in you on the day. We want to see your technical facility or your ability to talk about a particular topic up there that you love and that you are really, really good at. So, if you're going to choose a topic like jazz, the things that we are looking for in that repertoire is going to have those characteristics and features. You need to be clever with your choices. If you're doing jazz, you want to be showing us improvisation, swing rhythms, a variety of techniques that is suitable to that topic, so you're ensuring that you are representing the topic chosen, which is that little bit there on the left-hand side, as you can see, topics from the list there that need to be represented. I think there's nothing worse that a person has come in and they were going to do their HSC and their teacher has chosen a jazz topic, then they're doing a rock topic, then they're doing classical music, and the candidate, unfortunately, doesn't have the repertoire skills or the ability to talk about that topic effectively. So be really mindful of the topics, and they're very broad. Really broad. There's easy ways of being able to match your repertoire or your viva voce into those topics. So choose wisely when it comes to your HSC music topics. This is my favourite one. I feel in order for you to maximise the outcomes for your HSC, you need to receive feedback. And today is a great day to have that opportunity, to seek the feedback from our presenters today, to listen to our performance workshop this afternoon, to hear and see what are the requirements for that particular section of your HSC, but also get feedback from your friends. In your peers, we do a peer evaluation at our school, and in week 5 of each term before assessments, we do a thing called checkpoints. So we're checking where you are with your composition, your performance, or your viva voce. It gives us as teachers and your peers an opportunity to give you feedback so you can have that personal growth within your actual elective. Another thing we often do is we get our junior classes to come and sit in and you perform for them, which often a lot of students who have a free period come in and they like to have that experience. It's building your performance confidence. It's also building your viva voce ability to have a discussion, because later as it will be presented, it is a discussion, not a presentation. And using that feedback again to help support you in your personal growth. Perform. Participate in any opportunity. Be that kid that wants to be there performing on assembly. The more you perform for your HSC is going to prepare you in your confidence. And study. I can't stress how important it is to have a holistic understanding of your oral skills and your theory component. You need to be having a really, really clear understanding of the concepts of music and how you can incorporate them into your performances, how you can discuss them in your viva voce, and also implement them in your creative compositions. So ensure that you're utilising a variety of different resources to study for the music and theory components of your course. I spoke about this quite extensively last year in regards to engaging with a diverse range of music. And one of the things I spoke to you was about your algorithm of your YouTube and Spotify and how, unfortunately, for the next 12 months, it needs to be not what you're normally listening to. You need to expose yourself to a variety of music, to listening to it, even maybe playing it, to grasp an understanding of the broad topics. You're not going to walk into the HSC oral exam and unfortunately get probably the top 4 songs you have been listening to. So engaging yourself and having an appreciation of a diverse range of music is really important for you to maximise yourself, the ability to be exposed to something. There's nothing worse than walking into your oral exam and being exposed to some type of music and straight away you're like, ooh, I don't like this. And then you don't have the ability to effectively write about it. So ensure that you're becoming neutral. You love listening to a variety of different music to help expose you to the different nuances that you can hear within them as well. And from that experience, you can even look at how to bring them into your performance exam and also your composition. Collaborate with others. We always, within our music classes, we really try to rally around each other. And I mean, if you have a positive environment within your class, you're going to all cheer each other on and do the best that you can. And don't forget also to set yourself some goals. What am I going to obtain to get to term 3 in week 9 for my HSC exam? What steps do I need to put in place? How do I arrange my accompanist? When do I arrange my accompanist? What pieces have I chosen? I used to have a student, and we call it Don't Chuck a Tailor at my school, who used to always change her performances. Every week she'd come in and go, Miss, I've decided I'm going to do this piece. I'm like, cool, I'm looking forward to seeing that at your checkpoint. Checkpoint would come, something else would be performed. Okay. Not a problem. Come to the assessment. Miss, I've changed my piece again. Awesome, Taylor. I can't wait to hear it. But unfortunately, that student was not setting them up to get the best personal growth for that performance. She was unable to seek feedback effectively for the personal growth of that performance to develop. So ensure that you're making the choices of what you are doing for your repertoire, for what you're doing for your viva voce, and what you're composing for really early so you can maximise the best outcome for your HSC result. Practice makes perfect. How many times have you heard that in your life as a musician? And it is true. If you are consistently practicing your art form, you can only grow, develop, and get better. We fight over the music spaces at our place. They are wanting to come in at break times, after school, and that is what you want. You want to familiarise yourself with the space of where you're doing your exam. There is nothing worse than walking into a space where you don't feel comfortable where you are. You want to walk in and be your best, so utilise the spaces you have at your school for your HSC and practice if you have the opportunity within that space. Utilise the same equipment you're going to use on the day. If you're using a particular speaker for your Viva Voce, know the equipment. Ensure that you are supported by the right equipment as well for your performances, so you can only do the best that you possibly can. And to quote the incredible Mr. John Gill, I would just like to say you need to strive always to become a more knowledgeable musician. And that consistent effort of looking over your music syllabus with your teacher, unpacking the actual requirements for each particular course, looking at how you as a performer or as a person who is able to discuss or as a compositional writer, what is it I need to do within those assessment guidelines to help support me to get the best result? So, what actually happens in the practical exam? What happens when you walk into that room when you've got to do that practical component? Well, there are 2 experienced music teachers that will go and mark you for the day. You may even have a senior marker who may be present within that day, but they're not there in any way, shape or form to be looking at you in a negative way. They're there just to make sure that it is being implemented in a fair and equitable way. So be confident in your performance. We are looking for the best. As an experienced musical marker, I am always looking for the best in you, in your discussion and also within your performance. We're not there in any way, shape or form to be taking marks off. We are looking for what you can bring in that particular piece individually. We never mark them as, oh, they did really well in that piece and, oh, they haven't done well in this piece, so we'll just give them a couple of extra marks because, you know, they did well in the first one. Each piece or each discussion is marked individually on the day. So please ensure that you know that before walking into the room. Don't think, oh, I'll just do my best piece and then the rest will be fine because, you know, they know that I'm already really good from that first piece. Give the best that you possibly can for each and every part of your electives. Each school, you are assigned a specific time and a specific day. So be sure that you are there early, ready, prepared, know your space, have all your equipment set up, ready to go, and then that will bring that confidence to you on that day. Another thing is, I would love to have everyone sit in, watch you perform your HSC and give you a great big woohoo, like I got when I walked on stage, and a clap and applause. But unfortunately, it is an exam and it is conducted in exam conditions. Therefore, unfortunately, you and your accompanist or page turner are the only people that are allowed to be within the room. Unfortunately, you cannot have a sound tech person in there during the performance or the discussion of your exam, but they are more than welcome to come in between your performances or your discussions. So utilise that time for that sound check. Make sure you've got everything checked. Your sound, your equipment, your tuning. We as markers still stay within the space, but we're not listening to that in any way, shape or form. It doesn't deter us or make us think, oh, they're doing that, or oh, they're playing that, oh. We've got so many notes and notes to write on a page. We're more focused on what we need to do in order to get the best result for you on the day. So recording the exam is unfortunately unavailable for you too. I've had quite a few people say, hey, can I watch that back? I said, no, where? Where are we watching it? Where's the filming? Because it can't occur. But that is a great tool to utilise now. Record yourself. Watch yourself back. Last year I presented here and I played it for my HSC students, and I didn't even know that every second word in this one section of my presentation, I kept saying, okie dokie. And I had no idea until I re-watched it back and went, oh my goodness, Miss Patterson, you really need to think about your wording and how you do it. So it's that type of reflection and looking back on that is really important for you to gain the best insight for your HSC. We would love to give you, as an examiner, we would love to give you a great big clap and a great big yay, but unfortunately, we are unable to give any type of feedback at the end of your performance, okay? I know as an experienced marker, I often say to the students, thank you so much for performing, or thank you so much for talking with us today, and I wish you all the very best for the rest of your HSC. You may get that, you may get nothing. You may just simply get thank you. And don't be deterred by that, because you have done the hard work. We all are looking for the good in you, and fortunately, that is just what happens within the actual exam. So, what are examiners looking for? Within performance and within Viva Voce, they are looking at specific criteria. What they're looking for in your performance is your technical facility. What is it that you can do on that instrument? What is it that you can display in your singing, your playing, that is accurate, that is representing also those topics that I just discussed before? How can you express your style? How can you bring in those stylistic features that represent also that topic? Where is your musical expression, so your connection within the music, and how you as a performer are engaging either with your soloist, with your ensemble, or you as a soloist? How are you bringing yourself to the stage and performing your piece? These are all really important parts of the performance aspect that we as a marker are looking for and that we are writing the comments about as well. With your Viva Voce discussion, what we're trying to look for is that you have a really rich musical focus. You've got that musicological focus within your discussion. And with that also, you have that clear understanding of the topic that you've chosen. If you're doing a Viva Voce on rock music, we want to know, not only about rock music, but any other wider listening examples that could have impacted rock music as well. And that will be further unpacked later in your Viva Voce workshop. Your musical concepts, they are so important to remember. Last year when I presented, I used a little acronym to help you remember them, and it was, does Pato dance to this song? It's the 6 concepts of music, and it's a great way to remember. If not, come up with your own little acronym. But it's really important to embed those musical concepts within your discussion. And one of my top tips for Viva Voce is ensure that you're using musical examples that represent what you're talking about. Give a discussion of what you would like us to listen to, play the example, and then link them back in together. 2 top tips with your musical examples. Make sure your recording or your example goes longer than a minute. It is really hard to hear what you are trying to tell us in a very short amount of time. And please don't talk over the musical example. We are loving listening to you talk, but we would love to also listen to the music to unpack what you are talking about, to hear it. That's just my 2 little tips, but we'll be unpacking that a little bit more in the Viva Voce workshop today. All right. HSC strategy resources that you can access for further support in maximising your outcomes today. There are the standard materials that you can get. There are a variety of HSC exam packs. They are very old. I am really sorry. I wish that we could have some more updated resources, but they are still a great tool to understand the exam style questions for those particular components. There are also the HSC music guidelines and marking guidelines that you can use to help assess. And there's also, for teachers, you can find a variety of music strategies to help support you, both online resources, websites. I noticed today in the back of the booklet there is a variety of websites that have been included this year, which is absolutely incredible. And there's also the Nestle website where you can also find support materials to help for each individual course. For my DET friends, I'm not sure if you've ever come across this resource, but it is an invaluable resource to my teaching practice, and also you can utilise it within your classroom. It is called HSC Imagined. It is not only for Music 1, and extension, but it is for all creative arts subjects, and it is an invaluable tool to utilise with your students to help support them maximising their true outcomes in the HSC. We also have a variety of different platforms now as a teacher, and you can embed these within your teaching practice. Not only is there the Creative Arts K-12 curriculum page that you can access resources, there's the amazing statewide classroom on Teams that you can access. NESA has HSC Encore workshops, which is a wonderful resource to look at that top of the hill Band 6 performances and listening to them being unpacked. And also, as a teacher, you can do some self-paced learning at the same time to help support your students within the classroom. So enough about me continuing to chat about how you can maximise your outcomes. What I would like to move to next is an opportunity to have some students who have actually completed the HSC and unpack some questions for you to see from their learned experiences of how we can best support you. So please join me in welcoming back Tobi Eeles, along with a very special guest, Charlotte Fernando. Charlotte's no stranger to this stage. She's currently completing her HSC with me last year and her Bachelor of Music at the University of Newcastle. And that together, hopefully we can answer some questions. So with a big round of applause, can we reintroduce Tobi and Charlotte to the stage, please?
On, so that way next time I went to practice I knew exactly what I had to work on, so it was super fast, and it was kind of my method of accountability and like self-evaluation every time I went to practice, and that was really helpful. I had a whole record of what I was doing.
So being organised and setting yourself goals. Perfect. What about you, Charlotte? What did you do to best prepare for the HSC exam?
I think best preparing was obviously practicing and making it fun, not just practicing my songs that I was doing, but really the whole singing experience and enjoying doing that, doing songs that I wasn't just performing, but really doing other songs as well, helping other people with their HSC pieces, and just the whole practice of music in itself and enjoying that, so I wasn't draining myself.
And as you can see, practicing, being organised and utilising and collaborating with each other is really important to get the best out for your HSC. Watch and review yourself, guys. I can't stress it enough. Like I did last year, if you're watching yourself, you can only have more personal growth. Listen to different versions of your piece. Did you guys ever listen to any other different versions of your piece to gain a little bit more insight?
Yeah, I did Landslide, and so I listened to a couple of different versions of that song and really incorporated all of them into one to make my own sort of piece.
I did a little bit. I probably should have more. My teacher told me I had to, and I was a bit slack there. Especially for like stylistic interpretation, because I did all jazz, so that was important. But also so you know what you need to do to kind of make it your own and what you can add to make it more interesting.
What performance pieces did you present, and why did you present those particular performance pieces, Tobi?
I did 4 performances, all jazz. I thought at the start that you had to have a contrast between your pieces, so I originally picked a slower piece that I really didn't like, and every time I practiced I dreaded it, and then I performed it for my first assessment, didn't do as well as the piece I enjoyed, So then I switched it out to one I liked a lot better. Pretty much all 4 of my pieces were very, very similar. They were all fast jazz, but I still did well. So I think as long as you find a contrast within the piece, it doesn't matter if they're kind of all the same, because if you play what you enjoy, that's really going to shine through in your performance, even if it's all the same style.
100%, most definitely. I think it is, if you are confident in your repertoire, you're confident in your instrument, and you're confident in your discussions, you're going to do well, aren't you? And that whole idea of presenting a program, a variety, we're not looking for that in any way, shape or form. We're looking for the best in what you can do, not, oh my goodness, you've done this, oh, you didn't do this. We're just looking for what you do on the day. What about yourself, Charlotte? How did you present?
I did pieces that I knew and loved. There was one that I had done since year 7 that I knew like the back of my hand. It was one of my favourite songs to perform, and I got so comfortable doing the piece that it was just a breeze to do for HSC. And I also just did songs that I listened to and enjoyed, so it really helped me enjoy the whole experience and being able to play those.
Beautiful. And as you can see, for Music 1, oh, am I on the right page? Maybe. No. There we go. Music 1, Music 2 and Music 3, they're all different. So make sure you know also exactly what you need to do and the requirements for each of those pieces. So, performance order. This is a big question. How did you pick your performance order?
This is one that I actually really struggled with. So for me, it was all about stamina, because a lot of my pieces, I didn't really have a lot of breathing space. I picked my hardest piece first in terms of breathing, where I didn't have a lot of rests, because I knew if I put it at the end, I wouldn't play it as strongly. And then I put my easiest, like kind of relaxed piece next, so I could have kind of a recovery. Then my 3rd and 4th piece, I moved this around between my trial and my HSC. I put the piece that I thought was like the most show-stopping at the end. I had a bit of input from my teachers in this. Just wanted to choose one that would keep their attention at the end. Like, you need to start strong, but you also need to finish strong, because half an hour is a long time to listen to one person, so you need to make sure that they see a strong performance throughout the whole repertoire.
Yeah. What about yourself, Charlotte?
I found that I put my hardest song in the middle, because I started big, something that I was comfortable with, to really just feel comfortable in the space and the exam conditions. And then I moved through, did a little bit of the harder pieces, and then finished with one that I was very comfortable with, to walk out feeling good about what I just done.
Yep. Perfect. So there seems to be a bit of a pattern there, hey guys? So, I don't know what I have pressed. I've pressed the wrong button. See, it always happens. So what happens on the day of your HSC? What's one thing that happened on the day of your HSC that you could quickly share?
Well, I think it's really important to make sure that you support each other the whole day. Everyone's really nervous. You're not the only one who's nervous, so just make sure you're hyping each other up right before you get into the performance room, and then once you leave, you feel so much better. Make sure you don't spend too much time fussing around between pieces, because you do only have half an hour, but you also have time to take a breath and relax. You don't have to rush straight into the next piece.
What about yourself, Charlotte?
I'd say mix-ups and mistakes happen, and you've just got to really support each other and keep going through those. Like, it's always going to happen, and that's okay, and just do your best.
Yep, most definitely. And there's quite a lot of details in your booklet about what actually happens on the day, so please do have a read through. We have run out of time. Thank you so much, Tobi, and thank you so much, Charlotte, for being a part of today, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Sarah. I know you had more to present, but we are going to have to move on to our next presenter. Can you give a big round of applause to Sarah Patterson? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Lots there to take away, I'm sure. I hope you made lots of notes in your workbook in the space provided there. Now, I know a lot of the Music 1 students in the room will be sitting there looking at our next presenter and thinking, composition? I'm not doing composition. And to that, I say this. Arranging and composition go hand in hand. If you are working with any ensemble for any performances, then you will need to arrange your piece. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be writing dots on the page for them to play, but you will need to understand how to communicate what you want from different instruments or voices in your performance. Similarly, if you're doing a viva, being able to discuss composition techniques is of enormous benefit. So getting a good dose of extended vocabulary here is going to give you some new superpower for that elective. Everyone does an oral exam, And our Music 2 students out there, your musicology essay submission, the composition techniques, being able to understand what Kevin is about to discuss for you is going to be a huge, crucial benefit for those components as well. So don't sit there thinking, I'm not doing composition, this one's not for me. Everyone is going to benefit from this presentation. So, before I introduce our presenter, I want to draw your attention once again to the amazing student resource booklet that you all have. The first thing I noticed when I got it was the sheer size and comprehensiveness of the composition section. It starts on page 10, ladies and gentlemen, and goes through to page 40. There are 30 pages of absolute solid gold. It doesn't matter what ensemble you're working with. I think Kevin's got most of them listed there with tips on how to write if you're doing a pop song with a string section, if you're doing a brass ensemble, if you're doing vocal ensemble, if you're doing percussion ensemble. He's got stuff in there. All right, absolutely amazing. So it has been almost 40 years since Kevin Young graduated from the Newcastle Conservatorium of Music, another alumni. In those 4 decades, Kevin has taught at numerous schools around the state, starting at Dubbo South High School and eventually semi-retiring from his classroom teaching career with 22 years as the Director of Music Performance at Newcastle Grammar School. No matter where he was around the state, Kevin has always been engaged with directing concert bands, big bands, chamber choirs and other ensembles. His composition journey commenced when he composed a piece called Peregrini Fortium for the Newcastle Grammar School Symphony Orchestra's tour of the United States of America. This work was premiered in 2013 and conducted by Maestro George Eeles. The success of this work inspired Kevin to continue composing for student ensembles and working with young musicians and composers. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Kevin Young.
Thank you, Damien. What a pleasure it is to be here today. Just to give you a little bit of an insight into that composition process. Can I start by saying to you, though, that composition is an innately personal experience. There are no rights and no wrongs in terms of modern composition. And I'm sure your teachers have explained to you that there are many types of compositions that you can choose to perform. All right, so I think I've got this worked out. How do I do that? Oops. Okay, good luck. Here we go. So, I guess the first thing is, what do you want to get out of the whole composition process? What are your thoughts about where you're going to end up, what is going to be the end result? And I've got to say that there are 2 enemies of the thought process: procrastination and uncertainty. Never mind those. You've got to try and get around those, and your teachers can help you do that. Because the communication needs to always stay open between you and your classroom teacher. There were many compositions which my students presented, which I didn't necessarily like, but that's not what the composition process is about. It's whether you like it. It's whether you have achieved exactly what you're aiming for in terms of that composition, whether it's a 2-minute Music 2 a mandatory work, or whether it's a 4-minute Music 1 elective or a music extension elective. You need to think about a couple of things, and these are the things that I really would like you to zero in on today. What is the outcome? As we've said, choosing your instruments and voices. I've always suggested to my students to try and think out of the box in terms of the instruments or voices you decide to choose. The reason for that is, if you're a guitarist, for example, whether it's a classical or a rock-based guitarist, you need to think about how you're going to include other instruments or voices with the instrument you play. Now, I'm not suggesting that you always have to choose the instrument you play, because you can add whatever instruments you want into your work. You can add as many instruments as you like into your work as well. Just keep in mind that the more instruments you write for, or voices you write for, the longer it's going to take you to work within those music concept guidelines. Have you noticed the thread this morning already? We've been talking about music concepts and how they permeate every aspect of each of the music courses, and learning about your chosen instruments and voices and their capabilities and extended techniques. For example, mutes for trumpets or brass instruments, key clicks and things for woodwind instruments, flutter tonguing for both woodwind and brass instruments. Also, the use of vibrato or clean sounds on string instruments. They can make a significant difference to a phrase or a section within your work, just as a point of variety and contrast as well. All right, know your marking criteria. So, you've prepared a part of your assessment. It's maybe the first draft, and you've come to the assessment on that as a hand-in for your class teacher. And your class teacher comes to you and says, I'm not sure what you were trying to achieve here, but that's because I've been asking for your composition and you haven't let me see it. That's a no-no, folks. You cannot do that, all right? And I encourage you to have that open line of communication with your classroom teacher. Or, if not your classroom teacher, your tutor, your music tutor, or another teacher in the staff room, a support person who may be the technical advisor in the school or music department, if you're fortunate enough to have one of those. They are usually really good musicians, and they can help you with ideas, particularly from a stylistic perspective. So know your marking criteria. If you get a band 4 mark for that composition, you'll want to know why you got that. And if you haven't read the marking criteria, because that's how teachers mark everything with these marking criteria, then you haven't really looked at what it takes to get an A box mark by ticking all of those things in that A box mark. You know, professionally presented, highly incorporating the technical abilities of the instruments and extended techniques, all of those things come into that. Your journal. For a lot of you, composition, the term composition puts fear in your heart because you are unsure. One of the things that strikes fear is this journal. And I've put in the composition section some ways that you can outline your journal. I've given you an example of a past student of mine's journal, and I really encourage you to keep that up. Every time you work on your composition, add a journal entry. You know, after almost 12 months of working on your project, working on your composition, it's very, very difficult to backtrack. You cannot backtrack on a journal and be 100% correct. The journal is like your Bible of composition. It is so important because it's also proof of your work. But I'll get into that a little bit later. Proof of your work. The NESA can contact the music faculty in your school, and they can ask for your journal to be sent down to them as proof of your work if your work is being questioned. All right. And finally, before we hear our first piece, ask for your help and advice. All right. Oops. Good on you, Kev. Okay. Now, traditional composition. Traditional meaning string quartets, piano trios, and these are things that you may want to compose for, to write for, but they also may be things that you don't know anything about, but through the learning process you're really keen to write something more traditional. than the music that you listen to or the music that you're performing in your performance program. All right, so I've given you a heap of ideas, and I'm not going to stand here today and go through every single one of those, all right, because you've got them there as a resource. But all of those things, the form and structure, within a short time frame of 2 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever it is the time limit, you've got to demonstrate how you get all of the concepts into that and how you've put the piece together, all right? How you've made that composition musical. I've listened to many compositions. Some of them are really not musical at all. And that's a challenge, all right, because then the teacher has to go back to the student and say, look, I think you're kind of way off beat here. You know, you haven't understood what the composition process is all about, all right? So traditional composition, as Damien said, I've given you a heap of examples there on different ensembles to write for, what to look for, what to try and pull out as well, all right? Things like counterpoint. The best composer to listen to counterpoint for is Bach, you know, whether it's vocal music or whether it's instrumental music. It's absolutely amazing how he uses counterpoint, and that can add a textural layer to any composition. Harmony and voice leading, you know, just modulation, things like modulations. If you're a Music 2 or extension student in particular, modulations need to be an important factor of your composition. And of course, orchestration, how you use the instruments or voices you've chosen. All right, okay. So then you need to consider these things, and these all touch on the concepts of music. Melodic development. All right, remember, how do you do it within that short time frame? How are you going to use that? Rhythmic variation. That's across all the parts. We're not just talking in the melodic part, we're talking about the bass line, we're talking about the inner parts, the harmonic parts. We're talking also about the melodic parts or the counter-melodic parts as well. And this point 3 is so important. Dynamics and articulation. These can make a significant difference to your work. And the pieces that we're going to listen to will show that. And, you know, it's an interpretive thing too. So obviously, the dynamics and expressive techniques in a classical period, in a classical-based work, may be different from those in a heavy metal-based work, for example. You know, you've got to put them into the right places. All right, so here we go with our first piece. This is a piece, you can see that it's written for brass ensemble. Now, can I just say that I've also asked my past students if I can use their work for today, and I must also say that these are not complete works either. These are drafts of their work, all right? I've done that for a reason, because in all of the works that you will hear in the next little while, they all have things that need to be corrected on them, all right? Now, I'm guessing, no. How do I press play with this? How do I press play with this one? Positive. That should be. Sorry, my bad. Is the next one? It's the previous page. Okay, so while we're working out the technical difficulties, all right, so the trumpet one. So I've gone through and I've put a piccolo trumpet in A there, and there's a reason for that. As hopefully we get to play that through in a moment, you'll see that the trumpet one part is extremely high. It goes up to a top E, a top F sharp, for a trumpet player. And if you're a trumpet player, you're looking at that line going, oh, okay, I hope I've got my chops on today, because that is extremely high for a trumpet player. So looking at, I mentioned before about orchestration and knowing your instruments. All right, now this person who composed this, student, was a horn player. So the horn part is in a nice register, it's in, you know, a typical blending of octaves for this type of ensemble. She's also added timpani into this as well. And often in brass compositions, the timpani add a whole different layer to the work as well. It gives it strength, it often plays root notes. At cadence points, it brings extra power within the piece as well. So we've got, hopefully, you can see that there are some things there already that have been utilised in terms of the dynamics and expression. They have been clearly marked. There's accents, and there's a time change at figure A, at letter A as well. There's another time change later in the work. All right, if we can't listen to this one, we might move on to the next one. Let's see. No? Okay. All right. Yes, okay. So contemporary styles of composition. All right. Irrespective of what styles of music you listen to and you love and enjoy, these are just some hints. And I'm not saying that these are right for all of you either. All right, but these are just the way that a lot of songwriters write their tunes. I'm a big fan of Billy Joel, for example. Billy Joel is one of the greatest lyricists of pop rock music styles that the world has seen. But I'm also a massive fan of Eric Whitacre, the choral composer, who uses these little motifs and little catchy hooks or little catchy riffs, if you like, to really develop a piece based around those particular ideas. The structure. Do you want it to be intro, verse, chorus, or intro, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, bridge, and so on? You need to decide your structure of working with those, working with your lyrics or your musical material as well. Also, lyric writing. Lyric writing is really personal. It can be something that you've experienced in your life, or it can be just a song for fun, you know, a pop song based on whatever's happening in the world at the moment, if you like, if you're that way inclined, or it can be something that you, from a stylistic perspective, you love. And you can really look at the lyrics. These days, of course, we have things like ChatGPT, which you can tell it what you want, and it can come out with a set of lyrics for you. Now, I've tried that, and I've got to tell you that those lyrics are often really corny. They can give you some ideas, all right, but when you read through them, you think, that's not really what I was after. And that's because that's artificial. That's not from here, all right? And I'm talking about writing a song, all right? You write a song for a reason, all right? So your lyric writing needs to be strong, and relatable lyrics are crucial in pop music. The story that you're trying to convey through those lyrics. All right. if I can work this. No. Okay. Now we've got another example. Now this is a Music 1 example of the pop genre. And this student has put the vocal line at the top, a couple of guitars, a cello, electric piano, electric bass, and some percussion, a drum kit, and some bongos. Now, Brooke was a very, very fine young singer, and she really enjoyed this style. I'm hoping you can hear this at some point, because you need to hear it. Now, up the top there, she says it's expressively with emotion, all right? And so, therefore, the dynamics are appropriate for that, and the accents are very light on in the first section of the work. Unfortunately, irrespective of what program you use, the software that you use to work with Sibelius, MuseScore is actually a very good program. I, for many years, used Finale as my go-to software, and I recently, last year, before they announced that they were not making any more or creating any more versions of Finale, I purchased the last version, Finale 27, and then they pulled support on it. So now I too have to learn a new software, but I can recommend MuseScore to you because it is free, everything's online, and the resources that you have are at your fingertips. All right, so once you've decided on your performing media, your instruments and your voices, then you start to create your work. Now, one of the things that will get you top marks on a composition are making sure you've explored, if not all, most of the musical concepts. That's done through your structure, whether it's a verse-chorus structure in a popular sense, or whether it's an ABA ternary structure, or an AB or a strophic structure, which is just a composition which has several ideas through it, which just runs through from start to finish, creating several new sections within the work. You can choose to do that, all right? But you need to know about those concepts and how they work within a composition. The pitch material, for example, you need to remember and you need to think about the pitch material is not just melody, it's harmony, it's bass line, all right? It's how you've integrated those instruments of voices within the concept of pitch. The rhythmic material, not every line will have the same rhythmic material. If you do that and you have a lot of unison going through your work, that has demonstrated not a great deal about your understanding of variety within that concept of rhythm. All right, so you need to be creative in that sense as well. Tonal colour. I love music colours. I really think that we can learn a lot from early composers about music colours. And if you've never listened to a Beethoven piece at all, and yes, I know, I am old-fashioned, I give you that. If you've never listened to a Beethoven piece, I encourage you to listen to the slow movement of his Piano Concerto No. 5. That melody is sublime, and the accompaniment underneath it is so simple. Mozart's work as well. Mozart, a lot of orchestras have issues playing Mozart. It looks so easy on the paper, but to play it, you need to understand what's gone into it. You need to understand that they too, whether they've put it into a bucket of concepts of music, they have used melody, pitch, duration. They have used expressive techniques. They have used all of those things in terms of structure and tonal colours and texture. All right, so you'll notice about some of the pieces that I hopefully will get to hear soon. Is that okay, or am I running short? Oh, I've got to finish. Okay, so folks, look, composition, don't be scared of it. Your number one go-to person is your classroom teacher, all right? Share your work around. Let your mates listen to it. Let your other teachers listen to it. Be confident in what you are trying to get through and trying to get out of your work. Use the journal, and it's a remarkable read when you finish the process and you go back to look at where you start and the skills you've learned along the way. That's the journey, learning your skills and asking for help. Don't think that I, as a composer, never asked anyone for help. I send my choral compositions to people around the world to listen to, because I too feel sometimes that I am not achieving exactly what I'm hoping to achieve. My orchestra compositions, while they, while I like them, you've got to ask people for their advice and their support as well. I'm sorry that we didn't get to hear any of those works. I'm hoping we'll be able to do that in the Music 2 workshop a little bit later on. Thank you for listening to me today. If you've got any questions, I am around. Please feel free to come and quiz me. Once again, I do apologise for the tech not being able to work today. Thank you for having me, and I'll leave you to it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. See, I told you it would be relevant to all of you. Now, before we take a short recess break, a few housekeeping items. Firstly, if you brought it in here with you, then it goes out of this room with you. So do not leave rubbish, booklets, pens, or anything else in this gorgeous, beautiful concert hall. Take it with you, please. Secondly, the bathrooms are located in the hallway, and you won't necessarily be able to access it through that door, but that hallway that runs down that side of the concert hall, you'll find the men's and ladies in there. If you are out in the main foyer, you just want to walk around past the main doors, past the ticket office and down there to get to the bathrooms. Thank you, I'm still talking. Just watch out for the antique pianoforte if it's still out there. During this break, students, please do not disappear. We only have 30 minutes before the next session begins, and we will start on time. There are some drinks and chips available for purchase in the Conservatorium foyer, and you're welcome to snack on any food you've brought with you. Please ensure you use the rubbish bins provided. Do not throw your rubbish around. Keep this place tidy. This is definitely not the time to try and buy food from nearby outlets. It is probably, however, time to try and coordinate any lunch orders with your teachers and peers so that when we do take our proper lunch at 12:15, your food is ready to go, because we only have 45 minutes for that break. It's not enough time to go and order something, wait for it to be made and get back. Teacher supervision will be provided in the foyer for students, so if you would like to make your way to the student lounge on level 3 for a morning tea, you are welcome to come up for a cuppa and a catch-up. The next session will begin at 11 a.m. sharp. Music 2 students, please note there is a typo in the booklet. The time, your session will start at 11 a.m. as well. We've just got the times back to front. So you will have an 11 a.m. session with Kevin and then 11:40 with Sarah. And you will be going not to the brass studio, but to the organ studio. It is room 215. That's on the second floor. You take the elevator up to the second floor. Room 215, the organ studio. Is where the Music 2 students will be going for that session to work on your fancy Music 2 things. Music 1 students, you'll be back in here in the concert hall starting at 11 a.m. Don't be late, stay safe, enjoy your morning tea, ladies and gentlemen.